Hi Anti-Society, welcome back to the Anti-Social Planet, and today we're getting into chapters 63 and 64 of Tower of God. So in the last chapters, we had a bunch of stuff going on with like the bull and fighting him and Shibitsu getting pretty beat up, just like a little bit. I feel a little bit bad for him because he was really trying, he was putting a lot of passion into that fight, but it wasn't quite working out for him. And then, of course, we had Anaak and Endorsi showing up to kind of bail him out, but not really being committed to it. They were kind of on the sidelines for a lot of that until they made a bet about who could defeat this creature the fastest. So, of course, they got a little bit more invested in what was going on. Endorsi would get the Black March, and then if Anaak wins, then Endorsi has to like be her servant forever? I think it was forever, because that sounds like the kind of deal that Anaak would have. So we'll see how that turns out. We do have Lady Yuri just kind of doing stuff in the background, trying to find her way to where Bomb is still, but I mean, she's trying to find a bit of a back way to get there because I'm pretty sure she said like Evankel like doesn't want her on his floor, so she's trying to find like a secret way to get there. So we'll see when she shows up. I assume probably by the end of the season because it seems like the kind of bookend that you would be looking for the season. But last point that we had in the last chapter was that we were finally getting to the part where Bomb and Rachel are trying to get eaten with the rest of the fish by the queen. So I guess we'll see how that turns out. So let's get into chapter 63. Okay, chapter 63, Underwater in the Bubble. Love the symbolism of them like being back to back because like we're opening up this scene with like even though it's just them and they're in like this confined space, they're at opposition with each other. Like they're literally not facing each other, which I think just adds on to the fact that I've been kind of like seeing all this turmoil with the relationship because before we had them like standing next to each other. Well, I don't know if standing's the right word given Rachel's situation. They were next to each other, but their faces were like shadowed and they weren't actually looking at each other. And now we have them like fully back to back. I mean, I feel like being underwater would feel strange in general. I'm sorry, a strong force flowing into you? That seems like you should worry about that. Especially since Bomb has that whole like irregular thing going on that I just worry about anything weird going on around him. I just assume that it's going to cause havoc. Especially since we have so many people that are kind of viewing Bomb as like a time bomb in a way, no pun intended, but everyone's kind of freaked out about him because they're just waiting for that moment when he becomes like really volatile because they all know what irregulars are like and they can all better sense what he's capable of than he can. So the fact that we're kind of gearing up to something happening makes me very nervous. Weird noises. Rachel just kind of seems put out, maybe a little bit nervous. Right, we had all the spear bearers on the move, right? And the worms that we're supposed to like attack, I feel a little bit weird about because like how evolved are the worms, you know? I just feel like maybe killing them off is mean, but I will probably change my mind if they do something awful to characters that I like. Yes, this was Rock's moment. He was very bored and now he gets to do things. What's the green goo dripping down? And why is he freaked out? Oh, right. I forgot that the bull had like the weird green blood substance. It looks like Endorsi's doing okay though, which I mean, are we surprised? Endorsi's got some serious firepower. It's weird that its head is like, I don't know, it's like half. It's like sideways, but also not. It's this weird contortion. I like how Shibitsu is like trying to convey the information of what's going on to Kun, but like he's also freaked out because he saw how good Endorsi actually is. Like he fought the bull and it just, to be honest, wiped the floor with him. Like again, top points for like spirit from Shibitsu on this one, but not exactly on like technical skill. And then to see like Endorsi kind of swoop in and take care of things really quickly, I'm sure is like freaking Shibitsu out a little bit internally because he's also very good at like, I don't know, observing people and figuring out what their strengths are and stuff like that. He's very good at knowing what's going on and kind of collecting that information, storing it away for later. And then for him to miscalculate, like him saying like, I think we miscalculated, like both Shibitsu and Kun weren't aware of how good Endorsi really is. I'm sure that freaks them out, the like not knowing. Look at that smirk. I know that Endorsi's like not a good person, but I really do have a soft spot for her. There's just something about her personality. See, like, and Kun's like, was the bull that weak? Like, was it not as strong as we were led to believe? And Shibitsu's like, no, we just miscalculated how strong the princesses of Jihad are. Ooh, see, I like that like little tidbit of information where it's like, even if we all ganged together to fight it, we probably wouldn't win. And then Endorsi's like, give me a few seconds. I got this. Which I feel like just really puts in perspective how better trained the princesses of Jihad are. And like there are multiple of them. There are significantly stronger forces in the tower, and I feel like none of the regulars fully comprehend that yet. I don't think I even fully comprehend that yet. I feel like I'm still in that phase where I'm like, certain people are super strong and stuff like that, but having all of this kind of set up to be like there are way stronger people in the tower, and then those stronger people are also freaked out by Bomb, I think says a lot of like the potential that's like boiling under the surface for him. Just kind of goes back to how they're kind of hinting that something's going to happen with him and his power and his abilities, but no one really knows when or what it'll be, and everyone's just kind of like crossing their fingers and hoping that it doesn't happen for as long as possible. So there's just like a lot of like ominous foreshadowing that's happening. I love that movement too, of just like you can see Endorsi like completely unfazed, even though there's like this giant mouth right in front of her. And you can see the scale too of like how much bigger the bull is compared to her, and she's still winning. That's true, Magnus. We haven't actually seen the full power of a ranker yet. We've only seen like little bits of like hinting at stuff. I think Quant was like the closest we got, but even that he was definitely pulling back because it wasn't his job to like kill a bunch of the regulars. His job was to test them. So we've seen like little hints of like what rankers are capable of, but even that, there's like a hierarchy in rankers too, where like there are rankers that are kind of like lower power level, and then there's like the really powerful ones. And even above that, you have something like the Princess of Jihad, where like people have groups of people that fight for them and that are trained to do that kind of thing. So there's so many layers to like the power system that I'm sure that I cannot comprehend the power levels that are about to happen. Ooh, I like that they did the motion. Instead of having like motion lines in this panel, they had a lighting difference. The light reflecting off of it, one, it fits really well with the like underwater effect that we're trying to have. Like the fact that I don't think they're submerged in the water at this point, but like having a lot of water around, having that reflected in the light, so having those streaks instead. And then it also just adds a different dynamic to the panel than having just like normal motion lines like you have with other parts, like in this previous panel and even these ones where you can see the motion lines around where the movement is happening. And then this one to have the light, it's almost like she's moving faster than the air can move. The movement will happen and then like the air will move afterwards. There's almost that feeling because of the difference in the way that it's drawn. Ooh, dang. Endorsi, you don't need to go off on it like that. Oh, it's got the squiggly eyes now. I'm assuming it's either knocked out or dead, which means that doesn't Endorsi win? Did she do it in the time limit? I'm assuming. I love the smirk too. That's right, like wasn't she was gonna fight Quant, she like sort of did. And I feel like there was definitely some debate around like whether or not she would win. I think Endorsi would do a pretty good job. Again, haven't seen the full power of a ranker, so I can't fully say that, but I don't think I've seen the full power of Endorsi either. I think a lot of this has just been her playing around, and then sometimes she gets a little bit more serious, but like most of the time she's just kind of biding her time and having some fun and trying not to get involved in the drama, even though we know she likes to get involved in the drama. It's scary but attractive. I mean, I don't disagree. Aw, the pout from Anaak though. Not putting up with it. Would it be more fun to fight with Bomb? I don't know. I guess it depends on the context. I feel like Bomb wouldn't fight Endorsi unless there was something legitimately that he was trying to fight for. Because Bomb's like not a violent person inherently. I feel like Endorsi likes to fight. I feel like you don't become a Princess of Jihad. You don't make it through the training that she did without enjoying fighting. We've talked about that before. So I feel like there's a difference between Endorsi and Bomb, where like Bomb, I don't think enjoys fighting. He just does it in order to protect something. I feel like it wouldn't be fun to fight Bomb unless he was legitimately trying to protect something. I don't think Endorsi is above threatening Rachel just to have a good fight with Bomb though. Again, I don't think she's a good person, but I do have a soft spot for her. I feel like she would do something like that though, just to like see what would happen. What happened? Is it not dead? Is it fighting back? Oh look! Was it playing dead? That would be interesting, because it doesn't look as beat up as it did before. And she was so confident. I like how her immediate reaction is, this is disgusting. Not my life is being threatened, not this thing is more powerful than I thought. She's just like, ew. Ooh. I sometimes forget that she has like legitimate other like weapons and stuff with her, because she usually just uses a little needle thing, or she just fights with like her bare hands. She just kind of like flips around people. The look though, there's also like something almost like dead in her gaze though, like the way that it's shadowed, like it's scary. Like there's something very unsettling about Endorsi. Ooh, wow, that's very like shonen. Just like go in the air and then have the kick all the way down on his head. Look how much bigger it is than her though. I can't get over the fact that there's like such a huge scale difference and it just doesn't seem to matter. Yeah, she's still on the this is disgusting. What's her time limit though? Is she gonna win? because Anaak looks a little bit nervous. I like how this is supposed to be like a legitimately scary opponent, and like the only thing I'm thinking about is whether or not they're gonna win the bet. Like that's where we're at. We're being a little theatrical now. 1 minute left. Okay. I like how Endorsi goes from like unsettling to just almost like a really bad supervillain, like monologuing. Like I can almost hear the evil laugh coming from this picture. Oh, I like this too, the transition between like the smaller panel. Ooh, was it playing again? Because it seems to be awake. And it looks like it's smirking too, like it's playing with her, which is interesting. You find like another creature that enjoys fighting in the way that I was talking about Endorsi does, where they kind of play around, because I feel like a lot of the time the fight is too easy if they like just actually were legitimately trying to fight. She's gonna be angry now that like she's been made a fool of though. Terra's hair, does it have hair? It's just like getting up and leaving. Oh, is Endorsi talking to Anaak then? Did you assume that Anaak had something to do with it because of the lizard? I feel like I spent too much time with Rock that I just assume that when someone calls someone by a weird name, that it's just referring to whatever. I like how the fight stopped between Shibitsu and the bull because they were fighting, and now the bull's just like, bye. Yeah, stay on task, everyone. Anaak's turn now. See how she does. Anaak seems to be a little bit more vicious. Like, Endorsi seems to be kind of playful with the way that she gets into fights and stuff like that, whereas like Anaak I seem is far more like down to business. Like if she can finish a fight fairly quickly, I feel like she does, because she just wants to like prove that she's better and then head out. Shibitsu just trying to keep up. I mean, could he be useful somewhere else? Shibitsu, I don't know if they need you. I don't know if you'll be that much help here. Yeah, they're not gonna be listening to you. That's my one thing. I'm like, even if he's supposed to be there for support, are they gonna listen to him? Are they gonna let him help in any way? Take his input? Maybe he's just there to report back to Kun. I like how he's like, it's over, and now he's just like, yeah, no, we're gonna need some more time. Kun probably on the other end with like no context. It's just like, what is going on? Sister things, you know? Princess of Jihad, just being chaotic. Pizza? Oh, now I'm hungry. I always want pizza. It's just kind of there in my brain. I'm like a thought away from wanting pizza all the time. Hello, creepy teacher that is doing shady deals in the background. Enjoying the show? It's very creepy. Like the whole mask thing with the smile. I don't know what it is. I don't know how this character manages to be so creepy, and yet the expression is always the same. Took the bait. Why? Are you the reason that the bull is here? Is that what it was for? Now I'm reconsidering a lot of things. I'm assuming this is the end of the chapter though, because they like to torture me a little bit. Okay, next chapter. Chapter 64. What are you? You look cute. I hope that you're not dangerous. That's like me with every new thing that we see in the tower. I'm just like, you're cute, but I hope that you don't try to kill off just like whatever comes into contact with you. It's like a little bird, but without a beak. I don't know, it's bird-like in my brain. Aw. So a Shinsu fish breeder? I'm assuming that's the blonde girl. I probably learned her name at some point, but I have forgotten, because names are not my forte. So I'm assuming that this is a Shinsu fish? The little yellow bird. I like how this person's like, well, I only did it so I could get something out of it. And Kun's like, that makes sense to me. Because that's like how Kun's brain works, too. He's like, don't reveal too much unless you're going to get something out of it. You had to make a deal, though, for this to work. What's the plan, though? Why would they need a fish breeder? I guess to work in the ecosystem? Because that's like the point, is they have to keep everything balanced while doing the operation. There's a lot of talk about like people being attractive and falling in love, and I'm just like sat here like, okay, not my thing, but you do you. I'm too cynical for romance. I'm just gonna put it out there. I feel like maybe Kun and I would be on the same page. See, he's like, what magazine is that from? Yeah, I'm like, what, did you like learn that on one of those like 5 things you need to know to fall in love or whatever articles? Oh, okay. Thank you, Magnus, for the input. Clarification. They're very cute. I'm sure that they're not always, though. But for now, it's just cute. It's this one. Just existent. I feel like this is foreshadowing too, where it's like, could you use this skill on something like the bull? And she's like, yeah, sure, like a higher level. Who did we see who in the last end of the last chapter who was just eating pizza, watching, talking about there being bait, diversion of some kind? I'm just saying, like, maybe we've seen someone control different creatures before and might have set something up. Maybe. Just connecting some dots. I hope Kun also connects some dots. He knows that there's some shady stuff going on. Use the info. Maybe he already does. If I know it, he probably already knows it, and like 10 other things ahead of me. So he's probably on it. So yeah, I feel like he's discovering something right here. I'm like, he probably knows. He probably knows what's going on. Is this Endorsi and Anaak running after the bull? I'm assuming they tend to do the hop thing to travel. As we saw with the like pillar thing, the test that they did. Is Anaak going a different way? Has a different tactic? Oh, so it's hard to track too. Interesting. Well, she says like because of the water, but like it might also just be because it's a hunter. Like that seems to be part of its nature. So it might also be that it's just really good at not being tracked. because if you're surviving in an environment where being a hunter is like beneficial for you, you're gonna like develop skills to fit into that role. She does look sad though, which I don't love, because probably she feels like she's failed in some way, which probably hasn't gone over well in her past. I feel like she probably has some negative memories associated with like failing at a task she's been given, so I'm sure that this awakens some things. Hello? Sneak attack in the dark? Interesting too, because it had the light, and I said it was like an anglerfish, so it might be better at seeing in the dark too. Like, it's probably used to darker environments, especially if it's like underwater. A lot of underwater is dark, so it's probably better adapted to that. Not that Endorsi couldn't compensate for that, but if she's already talked about how it's hard for her to like read the Shinsu waves around her, I'm assuming that that's how she would compensate for not being able to see in a darker environment. And if that's difficult for her, she might also be slightly more impaired in a darker environment, submerged, than she's used to. So there's some interesting, I don't know, barriers in her way for this fight. Like, even though she is a very good fighter, we've established that the environment isn't beneficial to her, so it's also going to cause her some issues. And I like that we're getting that balance, that we've established she's really good at fighting and that she is capable of going up against the bull and holding her own. And now we're introducing other things that are going to cause those barriers and those things that she has to overcome that have nothing to do with her opponent, so it's harder for her to overcome them. She's gonna have to be a little more clever about how she solves that problem. And it also shows that the bull is pretty smart, because they like went to a different place to give them an advantage. So she's like, it doesn't make sound either, so like she can't use her hearing, her sight is going to be impaired, and she's having trouble reading the Shinsu around her. So she's really going to have to figure out other ways to keep track of it and, you know, stay on her toes so that she doesn't get hit by something by surprise. Yeah, it's probably a trap, yeah. It's almost like your enemy didn't need to run away and specifically did to lure you into a specific place. Who would have thought? Splash is ominous. Is it though? I mean, it's just a splash. You can like throw a rock. That's like the oldest trick in the book. It's just to like throw something and then the enemy like runs towards it. That happens in like every movie where someone's like hiding somewhere. They're just like, oh, a mysterious noise. Let's all travel there. Even though the last time we saw this person was around this area. Whoa, that's a cool shot. With like the wings. Oh, and I like how we have like the light source that's like lighting from the bottom. That's cool. Those are just like a nice balance in composition, if I can just be an art nerd for a second. Because you have like a lot of weight here with the character, and then here with the pillar and the other character, and then the wings kind of balance it out. And they're different colors, so it just adds to the dynamics of it. Is she getting wrapped up again or just knocked off? Both are possibilities. Knocked off. Ooh, now she's gonna be like actually submerged though. Is she a good swimmer? It freaks me out that there are people who just can't swim, because I live somewhere where like everyone swims because there's so much water that it just like my brain doesn't know how to comprehend not knowing how to swim. It's like we had to take classes to learn how to swim when I was a kid. So can she swim? Is she a strong swimmer? I feel like it'll impede the ability to fight either way, because I feel like the bull is probably better in water than she is. There might be other creatures in the water too that might cause some issues. Okay, so did get wrapped up by the, I don't know, the light thing? I don't really know what the anatomy term would be, but then it dove under the water. Got you. I wasn't sure if she got wrapped up in it again or if she just pushed off. Ugh. As I hit my mic, as I gesture too excitedly. Can she use Shinsu in some way to help her breathe underwater? I'm assuming, because we've seen the bubble and we've seen other Shinsu users compensate for it, but I guess it kind of depends on her skill set and like one, how good she is at it, and two, whether or not that's like her specialty. Because I feel like Endorsi would focus a lot of her ability on combat stuff, and I'm sure that like being able to breathe underwater might not have been on the top of her list of things to like account for. I don't know, maybe she's better prepared than I thought. I'm willing to accept that. Ooh, gotten stronger. Because it was holding back or because it's stronger in the water? I feel like it might be stronger in the water. Well, all the creatures seem to thrive in an underwater environment, so I'm assuming the bull was picked because it would also be good under the water. Yes, you should definitely deal with the not being able to breathe thing. I feel like that's priority one. Be able to breathe. Where's it? Anaak. Where's she at? So you gonna save her? Ooh, I like the darkening though. Like one, because we're kind of like going from this lighter place, darker. One, it kind of shows the depth as she's being like pulled down, but also it mimics kind of like what happens, like your vision starts to darken right as you run out of air. So I like that we're getting kind of both of those effects with the way that one, we're zooming in, it comes more about her personal experience, and then also getting the darkening of the panel. Ugh, the transitions are so good, the like scene transition things, they just work. Okay, so here's where Anaak is hopping around. Hopefully she hears the splashing around and gets involved somehow. Light up ahead. be suspicious of the random light. I'm just saying. Because like anglerfish, right? The light is to lure in prey with the light in this like really dark environment. I'm just saying a little bit of caution might be warranted. I am asking this of Anaak though. She is very impulsive. Still, Anaak, darling, maybe take a breath. Consider what's going on. Doing a very good job of isolating them though. Especially since like fighting two princes of Jihad would probably be a bad thing. So the fact that they're separated now, I think is also part of the plan. Deal with them one at a time. Is this a rice ball thing? Yeah, with a different creature. Good. That seems friendly. Probably fine. Ooh, the inversion though. I like that. The effect of that. Because it shows like shadows for one, but also like we associate white with like lightness and then black with like darkness, and then to have the inversion, but like the smile isn't effective. The smile is this like bright yellowy color, and yellow can be associated with like a lot of different things, but one of the things that I think of is like sickness, almost like corruption and stuff like that. I always think of the yellow wallpaper, the story of the yellow wallpaper, because that's like what it's about, is like how this yellow wallpaper is like corrupting this woman's mind and she's like slowly going insane and getting sick and stuff like that. So having that like bright vivid yellow next to the darker color is like a weird contrast, but also it portrays that kind of feeling for me of like insanity and illness and like something not quite being right. And like she just leaves. She's like, oh, you're not who I'm looking for, like completely unfazed. She's like, my job is not to deal with you, so goodbye. The audacity though. Oh, so we knew the other Anaak, the Anaak the first. That's not suspicious in any way. I mean, he does work for Jihad, right? So I'm assuming he's seen a lot of the princesses, which might be the costume. Why? Because if Endorsi's gonna be there, then a costume would be warranted. Still. Yeah, Anaak's definitely gonna get involved now. She's gonna want answers of some kind. She's got a lot of issues wrapped up with her mom, so, and specifically like Jihad. So she's one way to get her into a fight is to just like talk about Jihad, because it's gonna trigger something. Yes, the necklace. Hello. We saw the necklace before in the silent chapter, which I've been told is significant, and so I'm assuming it's significant because we've referenced it a few times. And Anaak seems to know what's going on. Is the necklace her mom's? Is that why? It's green. I don't want to assume everything green is associated with Anaak, but maybe it was hers. Was he there when her mom was killed then? And her dad? I forget that he's also there because we've never seen him. Feel a little bit bad about that. I'm assuming it's her mom's from the reaction. That smile is so creepy, and I don't know why. Like, is it the character? Is it the lighting? Is it the color choice? I don't know, but brilliant use of just like a character that has exactly one expression and getting so much character out of it. I could never. See, called that. Yeah, I was like, was he there when that happened? He? They? I'm assuming masculine. Not necessarily true. Oh, the tongue though. It's just so, there's just something creepy about it. Everything about this character is unsettling. Yeah, I feel like Anaak has gone into destroy mode, which I don't think is good for anyone. I feel like she's just going to lash out at everything. And I don't know if that'll be good for her. I don't think that'll be good for Ren. I think we're just going to be in this weird middle ground where like, she's just going to destroy everything in her path. See that look? That's an empty look of just, she is ready to just kill everything in sight, regardless of what it is. We're going to end the chapter there, aren't we? Because it likes to hurt my feelings. It's fine. I'm not upset about it. I felt like I went into this and I thought that we were going to focus a lot more on Bam and Rachel and like what they're doing, but that seems to be a very like secondary thing, and I feel like it's because we're setting up that there's going to be something going on with Bam, and it is kind of like this like ticking bomb of there's something about his abilities and what he can do that is just building up under the surface, and everyone's just kind of waiting for it to make itself known. And I feel like we're just really setting that up so like the suspense pays off eventually, but the suspense is killing me a little bit. Also, I don't know, I feel like there's something with Rachel. I feel like something's going on. Something has to happen with her because she's so important to Bam, and she's with him, which I know is like part of the test. I don't know. I've never liked Rachel, so maybe that's where I'm coming from. But we did set up a lot of like the other stuff that's going on. Specifically, we focused a lot more on Anaak and Endorsi and their stories. And this whole trap plot that's been going on. I mean, are we surprised that Ren had something to do with what was going on? I don't think so. There's been lots of shady stuff going on in the background and people just kind of manipulating pieces to where they want them to be. So we'll just have to wait and see. Rachel is queen. I don't know. Something about her just like rubs me the wrong way. There's something, Rachel's like less in a place of power with Bam than I feel like she was before, but there's something about the way that she interacts with people that just rubs me the wrong way. But I did like that we got to get a little bit into like exactly what Ren does, like controlling and interacting with like different species and stuff. We saw like the girl with the blonde hair was talking about being a breeder and how that kind of lends to that ability. I'm assuming that's what we were alluding to when Kun was like, could you control something like the bull? Because I'm assuming Kun is connecting the dots that like, oh, there's something else going on here. Like there's a reason that the bull is here and that appeared at this moment before like all of the regulars showed up to do the tests, and he also knows that there's stuff going on because he's interacting with some of the rankers and stuff, like specifically the Roro, but Kun knows a little bit more about what's going on than a lot of other people, so I feel like Kun is connecting the dots that something is going on and that he's gonna have to account for that in some way, but mostly we're just setting up the fact that Ren was there when Anaak's family was killed, which I'm sure she is not going to take well, as we have seen so far. I assume that she is going to cause a lot of harm to the people around her in that moment. I don't think it'll go well for anyone. I think she's going to get hurt because she's going to be really reckless because she's letting her anger and grief fuel her. And we've seen before when like Mom had the Black March, when she first saw that, and she just like completely lost her control. So we know what she's like when she gets into this kind of state, and no one's gonna be around to stop her unless someone shows up. And even then, will they be able to? Like if she gets herself worked up enough, will they be able to help? They'll probably need someone at like a ranker level to step in. So we're gonna have to wait and see. I mean, Endorsi's busy, so she can't help rein her in any way. She's currently being dragged down into some water, so we'll have to see how she compensates for that. There's a lot of cliffhangers that I'm being left with. But I feel like that's just the story in general, but also because we're in like a very like, I don't know, tense moment in the story. So there's a lot of things going on of just, I think, preparing the characters for what the next part of the tower is going to be. I feel like a lot of this is just being like, this is the easy level. You know, this is where all of stuff is simple and more straightforward. And yeah, there's some like weird stuff going on because people like Ren are like interfering with what's going on, but this is like the tower on easy mode, and this is what it's like. So I feel like that's really what we're getting into before like later levels where stuff like really starts to amp up. You can click this playlist to go and see my previous reactions, or you can subscribe so miss next time I post a Tower of God video, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!